Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel. I did a live stream yesterday and you guys had a lot of questions about like dating and stuff like that. So being someone that has used Tinder before, I thought I would tell you two of my Tinder horror stories because these are pretty insane. The number 2 spot for worst Tinder experience was Tinder used to have a feature on it called Moments about a year ago where it was kind of like Snapchat where you could upload a picture and it would stay up for 24 hours and the people that you matched with could see whatever it was. So one time I posted a picture of a flyer of a show I was going to. I was going to see the early November and I posted a flyer of the show and like that was it. So I go to the show with my sister and we meet up with like her friend there or something. And the show sold out and I think Lydia opened the show. So we're like sitting there watching Lydia and all of a sudden someone comes up behind me and like bear hugs me from behind and I'm like, what the fuck? So I turn around and it's some guy who's like, I don't even remember what his name is. But apparently we had matched on Tinder, have never spoken, and he saw my moment that I was going to the show, so he decided to show up just because I was there, not because he liked the band or anything like that, but decided to show up just because I was there. After I almost like initially decked him because like touching someone you don't know like that is weird, his breath smelled so hardcore like booze. So I told my sister and her friend, I'm like, whatever happens, don't leave me alone with this guy. And they're like, okay. So I watch like the next song and they're like standing next to me and I turn to this guy who's now on the other side of me and I'm trying to be nice. Like, I'm like, oh, hey, like, what's up? I turn back and my sister and her friend are gone. So I'm like, fuck my life. So the venue that this show was at had like, the room where the music happens is separate from like this bar area. So after Lydia finished, he was like, let's go talk in like the bar area. And like, I begrudgingly was like, okay. So we go and we sit down at this table and instead of sitting across from me, he sits next to me. And I could tell that the server girl was like, do you need help? Like, this guy seems a little weird. And it was so funny because I was purposely saying the exact opposite of everything that he wanted. Like, he's like, oh yeah, I can't wait to like have a family and stuff. And I'm like, I want to set children on fire. Like, literally whatever the polar opposite was of whatever he said, that's what I was saying. But then he'd be like, oh, well, like, yeah, family's not that important. Like, I'm cool with no kids. So he would change his story to match whatever it was I was saying, which is like, that's such a fucking turnoff. Like, stick to your guns, man. So finally, like the early November is about to start playing and he's like, well, let's keep talking. And I'm like, absolutely not. So I go back into the band room and thankfully it was a sold out show. So I was able to like successfully lose him. So I'm like dancing and singing and having a good time and he's nowhere in sight, which is great. So I told my sister, I'm like, she wanted to stick around after the show and try to meet Ace, but I've already met him. So like, that wasn't a big deal to me. So I was like, I'm just going to go wait in the car because I do not want this nutter, like, talking to me again. But she ended up, like, being okay with leaving. So we're walking out to the car and, like, my phone had been in my purse because I was watching the band and I pull out my phone and I had 37 messages on Tinder from him that started out with, like, oh, like, let's talk after the show. And then it progressively got, like, oh, that's how it's going to be. And, well, like, I hope you, like, get an STD and die. Like it went from like, oh, I think you're kind of cool to like, I hope you end up 6 feet under tomorrow. So that was crazy. So like, I blocked him on everything and obviously like, that was the end of that, but like, that was fucking weird, right? So that was like probably the second weirdest thing that's ever happened. The weirdest thing that's ever happened. So if you guys watch How I Met Your Mother, there's an episode called The Naked Man. I did not know this when this happened to me, but someone pulled a naked man on me in real life. I ended up matching with this guy and we chatted for a little bit, but very quickly I was like, I'm not into this dude at all. Like he kept talking about his BMW and all this stuff and it's like, That's not impressive to me. Like, apparently my type is like bearded and unemployed, so like you having money literally is like not a thing to me. But he was so fucking persistent, and this is also like 100% my fault because I have since learned my lesson, and I would never hang out with someone just because they're persistent, but I did at that point. And this was my first experience with Tinder, so stupidly, I let him come over to my house, and he had brought cheesecake from the Cheesecake Factory, so I was like, dope. So we're sitting on my couch talking, right? We are not touching. We are not having a remotely flirtatious conversation. It's completely like, so do you have any brothers and sisters? What do you do for work? Like, that kind of stuff. And my wine was empty, so I got up and went to the kitchen to get more wine. And I came back, and he was fully naked, except for his black socks, just kind of loving on himself a little bit on my couch. So, I was in shock, and I'm like probably 10 feet away with my glass, and I'm just like, what's happening here? And my cell phone was on the coffee table, which was right in front of him, so I was like, motherfucker. So he's like, come here. And I'm like, you know, I think I'm okay, like, over here. And after kind of like being like, no, this isn't gonna happen, bro, I asked him to leave, and then he got mad, which was kind of scary at the time because I'm like, what am I doing? I'm like fucking alone in my house with this person I don't know. So we finally like gets dressed and goes to leave, takes the cheesecake he brought for me with him, and left. And that's the weirdest fucking thing that ever happened to me. So for those of you that watch How I Met Your Mother, I'm the 1 out of 3 that it did not work on. Also, that guy, I don't know if he just like forgot, but he like hit me up like months later and was like, hey, what's up? Like, we should hang out. And I'm like, I'm okay, but thanks. So yeah, guys, online dating is super great. I actually still have Tinder. I haven't met someone off it in a long time. And the last person I met, I feel like doesn't really count because he was already a member of a local band that I knew, and like he knew one of my friends, so it wasn't like a blind date thing. But yeah, those are like 2 of the weirdest things that have ever happened to me. And there's like a bunch of other like little weird things that have happened, but those are the big ones. So yeah, if you guys have like online dated and have any like great stories like that, please share them with me so I know I'm not alone. And I'll see you later.